Welcome back to another episode of Nerds and Nonsense. Today's episode is going to be the movie review of Avatar: The Way of Water. So, Kamar, what did you think about the movie?
I was pleasantly surprised, actually. I thought 13 years since they made the last one? So I thought 13 years was like way too long to come back to the movie, and like there's a chance I would hate it.
Yeah, so I met my wife 13 years ago. So
wow, has it been that long?
Yes. So that's exactly that year. 13 years, met, dated, got married, and had two kids. So so I did that within the time span of the second movie coming out. So I was pleasantly surprised as well. You think after 13 years, it's kind of like you kind of lose the luster of it, but it's not bad at all. I thoroughly enjoyed it. So. We're gonna go into non-spoilers and then spoilers. So we'll tell you when to stop and everything like that. But like we said, that we do enjoy the movie. But what do you think about the direction of the movie?
I think when it got started, I was a little rusty because I forgot what happened in the previous movie. So there were some things they were alluding to from the previous film, and at certain points, I was kind of scratching my head, like, what are they talking about?
Yeah.
But the story picks up at a really good pace.
Yeah.
I think James Cameron is an awesome storyteller. There's story arcs that pop up before you even expect them to be there. And I didn't think I was going to fall asleep like I originally thought. 3 hours long movie. I can't remember what happened in the first one. It actually kind of picked up and started going without even really having to know what happened in the first movie.
Yeah. I thought I was just going to put my this and just kind of be bored with it. But it actually, you do have to watch the first one to kind of understand it. I did watch the first one again just to reacclimate myself with it, and I kind of do know what's going on. So it is a continuation from the first one, and I do like the direction of it. Yeah, it doesn't seem like they kind of bore you with the facts about this and that and talk too much and explain things about how they kind of did with the first one. I mean, the first one was just kind of introductory.
Right.
And now it's just kind of they jump right into it, which is good. It's progress from the first movie. It's more character development now, which is great. I thought it was paced pretty well for 3 hours. Never really kind of slowed down. So they kind of jump from one thing to another, which is good. Not selling too much and letting it kind of too stale.
Yeah, I feel like each of the characters were equally developed. Each one had their kind of prime focus at certain points in the film, and just the quality was so high. I think when you look at the computer graphics that are done in this movie, it does make some of the superhero computer graphics seem a little goofy, but these were so clean and so realistic that at times you kind of forget that you're looking at something computer generated. And you're thinking these are actual effects or actual actors or something.
Yeah, I mean, 13 years, they did not skimp on the CGI at all. They put a lot of their budget probably into this. It looks so real. You have to enjoy it in 3D IMAX. That's the way to enjoy this movie, I believe.
Absolutely.
Just regular, it's not good enough. But they look like they didn't miss a beat at all.
Yeah.
The quality is superb. The way of water, the just water effects in general. The close-ups of the facial structure and everything like that. Just backgrounds, man. It's
Agree. I really think if we're looking at films Black Panther with Wakanda Forever and how they did Talokan for Namor's World, or looking at Aquaman, really, I think Avatar shows you how you should do underwater computer graphics in fantasy worlds. It sets the bar. The other ones, when you go back to look at those, you're going to be like, yeah, they kind of got a little cheap on the underwater part.
Yeah. So it's just the visuals, colors,
amazing.
I guess it's kind of good things come to those who wait, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, there was probably some issues we talked about earlier, but the Fox merger probably delaying the movie as well.
Yeah, I think so.
I don't think that you'd be thoroughly disappointed if you go see the movie. Just don't be deterred and just say, I don't want to go see the movie and stuff like that. Be more open-minded about it. It does have a lot of action, a lot of good storytelling, introduction of a lot of new characters. Puts you in a lot of difficult situations, kind of in a way where it's how you would be accepted in certain areas by
Right.
other people. Kind of
Right.
a lot of like
Insider
yeah,
outsider kind of discussion.
real world dilemmas. Revenge. A lot of situations if you're kind of your back's put against the wall kind of thing. Like what would
Yeah.
you do? Like it's
Yeah.
it makes you really think a lot too.
Yeah.
So it's like it's not really as predictable as you'd think would be. A lot of swerve might be a swerve here or there, or some different way of thinking.
Right. There's
So-
always a plot turn, like reliably in the right place to make sure you didn't snooze with someone talking too much.
Yeah.
I think a right where would get kind of into that depthful thing where a character probably would explain themselves in some sort of annoying monologue we usually see in other movies. This one doesn't do that at all.
Yeah.
And it's an action movie. It stays fast paced, action packed. There's a new development each time. And it really didn't feel like 3 hours, and I really appreciated that because
Yeah.
a lot of the movies, even the ones I look forward to, sometimes when they're 3 hours, at some point it starts to feel like it's 3 hours.
Well, there was some movies that I actually watched, like Star Wars and the new Transformers.
Yeah.
I don't want to say that, but like I just thoroughly felt bored with it. Like it's
Yeah.
just it didn't grasp me, didn't pull my attention in. But this one was just like the visuals, just like the way the actors were just voicing the in-depthness.
Yeah.
You kind of feel the real feeling that when they talk to each other, like
Yeah.
like it's real communication with each other, not like they're just like spewing words at each other.
Right.
So
Right. Like there was a sort of an emotional dialogue.
absolutely.
And I really don't feel like there was a monologue that went on beyond I think everything stayed under 5 minutes, even the dialogues.
Yeah, it was nice, evenly paced. Like they're not going to bore you with long speeches and trying to explain everything to you. It's like right to the point. Good,
Right.
great. Yeah. So what do you think about some of the new characters that were in the movies?
I thought
the
they were
movie.
pretty cool. I thought they were pretty cool. You had I don't want to give any spoilers, but I thought they introduced like a lot of really cool new characters who could pass on the torch in a sequel or so. I think it developed the franchise. I think it was kind of cool because you were introduced to other characters in the first film, and then you get to see a continuation with another character from that storyline. So I was impressed by it. I was really impressed by it. They have new reiterations of old characters that
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting.
Yeah.
It was thoroughly enjoyable.
Yeah.
I think if they wanted to make toys and merchandising, they probably could.
Yeah.
They probably are.
Yeah, like it's a nice way to keep it going. It's just, of course, you have to have a story go on, and then you're gonna have to introduce new characters from all different platforms and all that kind of stuff. And it was done well, like you said. Like, there's like well, I didn't expect that to come in. So it's nice to continue to have a continuation of a lot of other characters, but the introduction of the new characters. Sometimes I think in movies they introduce new characters. The thing about it is they're really annoying. They are kind of useless in the movie.
Yeah.
They just have no part in the movie. It's kind of like
Right.
they're just introduced, and then like they either they drag down the protagonist, or they put themselves in a situation where it's kind of like, man, you screwed up in a way where
Right.
it kind of derails everything.
Right.
But
They're kind of like filler or just like kind of like expenditure sometimes.
yeah, like they're not necessary to be in there, but I believe every character in this movie served a purpose. They had specific role to do. So they it wasn't just them talking or being in the way. They actually planned out and had some
Right.
kind of action, which is
Right.
good.
There's
So,
usually something purposeful in the plot that the new character fulfills,
Yeah.
which makes them. At first, you're wondering who they are. Then you see what their purpose is, and then you appreciate having them in the film. I think.
yeah, like they contribute in different kinds of ways. If it's for character development, storytelling as well. So each character is different in that kind of way. They bring something different to the table.
Right, where like probably a Marvel film, like they have great characters, but sometimes you have to wait for the next movie to find out what's the reason this one's around.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I think 3 hours does. Yeah, like I said, it didn't feel like it was that long. It felt like it
Yeah.
moved at a good pace for 3 hours, and everything was fit in well. Like it didn't drag along too much. So
Yeah, and it's just really great performances all the way around. I think.
yeah, just like the voice acting. It's like I said, like good things come to those who wait. Yeah, it's just I think I didn't really like I thought the first one was super great, but the visuals. But I kind of like this one a little bit more. It's a more story story driven kind of thing.
Yeah.
The characters are more in depth, a lot more tragedy and all that kind of stuff
Right.
going on than say the first one. I guess the first one was just introduction, maybe just being
Yeah.
adaptation, feeling, fitting in and all that kind of stuff. And this one
Right.
is different. So
Right, and I think the thing is, this one really explores another part of that world.
exactly, right? Not
Which
just
is
one
pretty
part.
cool.
Yeah. So
So at the end, I know were wondering, well, let's say if there's an Easter egg or not.
yeah. So we'll
But-
let you know. So
The Way of Water. It was pretty cool. They did the thing with the Way of Water.
Yeah,
And
right.
the first one, of course, was forced. So
yeah. So.
yeah.
But yeah, I would definitely highly recommend you guys go check it out. Just be a fit. I mean, it's kind of like don't go in there with expectations as
Yeah.
much. Just go
Yeah.
and enjoy it.
Yeah.
Like don't be like, well, I want this to be better than the first movie, or go check it out. Like, don't be like,
Yeah.
oh, it's 13 years. I don't really care much about it. Like,
Yeah.
I even had a hard time convincing you to go see it. But hey,
Yeah,
you can't wait to go see it, right?
It was
So
because I just I know I like movies. I know a good movie experience. James Cameron is a quality guy.
yeah,
And what he produces, and yeah, I was pleasantly surprised. I was really kind of ambivalent about whether I wanted to see it, and this is a great blockbuster. I think it's
Yeah.
hard to compete
yeah.
because you have all these other things that are out, but I think once people see it, like, this one's kind of probably gonna slowly build some momentum.
Yeah, for the movies of 2022, I could say this was not one of the worst ones I've seen.
Not at all.
Like, I've seen some bad ones, and then like this one's
Yeah.
like pretty good. James Cameron has a track record of making good movies. Titanic, the original Avatar, the Terminator movies.
Yeah.
The ones he pretty much primarily directed. Like, they've had a good track record.
Yeah.
So
This may be a Christmas hit, I think.
yeah, so you don't think that he's not going to let you down with this
Yeah.
guy. Like, he's not going to be like, well, I spent 13 years making it, I'm not going to make it done. Yeah,
Right,
so
right.
if you have to put it all in 3 hours,
Yeah.
do it in 3 hours.
He's
you
a
know?
quality old school director, which is good and bad, especially because there's so much feedback that's in the movies these days. But I think definitely demonstrates what he brings to the table. You get some really great storytelling. You get amazing computer graphics, and a franchise, I guess, that hasn't really been spoiled like the other ones, or doesn't have had too many fingers or hands in their formula.
Yeah, so it's been 13 years, and I don't think it's going to be another 13 years for the next sequel. But I think with just the pacing of it, I'm excited to see where it goes. Like it's. It's I can't say that a lot of franchises I want to see, but it's not like oversaturated at all. It's you get really into the characters. You kind of want to see them succeed, and you're kind of torn between two sides in a
I
way,
think
right?
there were moments where I think if it came out 5 years ago, or a little when there was still fervor, I might have gotten teary eyed in some parts of it.
Yeah, I gotta admit,
It's pretty good.
yeah, it's you get pretty emotional
Yeah.
a lot with the characters. You kind of feel them as this.
Yeah.
I think James Cameron doesn't expect less than that. Like
Yeah.
he wants you to bring your A game. That's
Yeah.
good. So that it brings it. It's not like subpar acting. He picks the right actors and
Yeah.
actresses to do it. Then they're on board. If they say, hey, you want to do a James Cameron movie? Yeah, let's do a James Cameron movie.
Yeah,
So
yeah, it may not get to the point where you're like screaming for Jack to survive,
Yeah, right.
but it kind of hits your heart in certain places.
it does. So.
Yeah.
But that's probably going to do it for the non-spoiler part. So let's get into the spoiler parts. So,
Spoiler part.
So if you guys don't want to know the spoiler parts, you guys can pause it or turn it off right about now. So we jump back into Pandora, right, where things last left off. So it seems that Jake Sully and Neytiri have started a family.
Right.
So they have about...
They're the head of their village, too.
they're head of the village now. So he has 3 kids, and one is pretty much adopted. So pretty much made from the DNA of Sigourney Weaver's character from the first movie. So
like a daughter.
Yeah, exactly. Her DNA mixed with Avatar DNA to form kind of like a surrogate daughter, right?
Yeah.
A surrogate in a way. So everything's going good. He's dealing with the trials of being a father and all that kind of stuff, being like the chief of the clan and all that kind of stuff. And of course, things go good, and all of a sudden things go bad.
Yeah.
And it ends Return of the Sky People.
It happened so fast. I think that was one thing that really kind of just like shook me up a bit. I was just like, well, all right, let's get straight into it.
Yeah, that's not bad.
They take a gap.
Yeah.
It's like the Sky People come back, and there's this destruction on massive scale out of nowhere.
Yeah, right.
What the
Whoa,
heck?
that's a nice part. Okay, good. Like, okay, don't talk too much. I don't want to see
caught me off guard.
you being a dad too much, and that the trials of being a chief and all that stuff,
Right.
and upholding a family. Like, okay, get right to it. Let's go. You
It's
know.
like
So,
the good melodrama. So,
Yeah.
but the great thing is like they do that 1 year kind of like
Yes,
break
mhm.
in between. So you have this establishment of like this human settlement on the planet.
right.
And I thought that was kind of good to break it up, because at first it's kind of traumatizing. Like you just start watching the movie and there's just like fire and destruction. And at first I was just like, it's kind of going a little fast,
Yeah,
I want you
So-
to hold my hand a little bit before you take
Exactly.
me to,
But
like,
then they pace it, and then it goes to show you that there's like a scene where it's shot from above, and like the eyes are opening, and all of a sudden, lo and behold, the Colonel from the first movie is pretty much kind of like reincarnated
Yeah.
into a body of an avatar.
that caught me off guard
Yes.
too. Yeah.
So that's a surprise. So,
So his entire crew, like
Yeah.
their brains are like transported, like the same, like the Sigourney Weaver, or like the Jake process, like into like
Yeah.
these alien synthetic bodies.
yeah, so that the Sky people side, they found ways to hold their memories and thoughts into, data, and then upload it into avatars, because they were, copying the same way that the, Jake Sully's team was doing as well. So
Right.
he wakes up into a body of an avatar, same with his team, and guess what's on his mind? Revenge, right? So
Revenge,
it's like,
yeah.
yeah, I'm gonna kill Jake for betraying me and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
So he's, leading the pack, but then he finds out he's not in charge anymore. So there's a general that he reports to, and she reveals that Earth is like collapsing, losing
Yeah.
its resources.
Yeah.
So that they need a new planet and habitat, and then
Right.
get lo and behold, that they need this planet to do it.
Right.
So they need
Right.
to get rid of all the life on there, and probably destroy it
Right.
like they do to Earth.
Right. So essentially, I think they're just like destroying the highest intelligent creatures and colonizing essentially.
Exactly.
That's what they're saying the new mission is, to
Yeah.
colonize that planet.
So I like that. It's like, it's not just him waking up and trying to just get revenge for what happened. It's like,
Right.
okay, now that Earth is pretty much depleted of its resources and dying off, we need another planet. Like, okay, so it gives them more. It's like, well, damn. Do we want them to see
Yeah.
them succeed in saving Earth, or do we want the people of Pandora to succeed? It's like, it's kind of
Right.
conflict. Like, you're human in a way, but then
Yeah.
you're rooting for them. So like, who do you root for?
Right.
So-
Kind of makes humans a little crappy, I think.
yeah, right. So it's like, and of course, they
Although
try to
it's
take things in their own
not
hands.
totally
Yeah.
fault.
So, so the general, I keep forgetting his name. It's kind of a harder name to remember.
Oh, I forget it. as
Yeah,
well.
it's a hard name to remember.
It's been years since watching
But then
it, so.
he kind of evolves a little bit. He says, well, since I'm in the body of Avatar, I'm going to think like an Avatar. I'm going to speak like an Avatar. I'm going to go through their ways, and then he what progresses and evolves in a way where he learns like that. So
But I think their first attack or encounter isn't successful because they're using the human approach, I think.
yes, exactly. It's just kind of like more military-esque, in a way.
Technology.
Yeah, and then like he learns from that, and then says, okay, now I have to. If I want to catch him, I have to think like him and be like him. So
The thing is, each time that they have interaction, they pick off and like kidnap like another person from the group. So
Yeah.
they get like there's what was the kid's name? There's like a human adoptee.
his name is Spider.
Spider, there we
yes.
go.
Or I call him Tarzan, I guess.
Right.
He looks like there's a human person and he's like kind of like a.
The abandoned kid of
Yeah.
like the general or something. I
Yes,
think?
so that we'll
Yeah.
get into that. But then, like he's kind of like the sidekick that kind of hangs out, and with them, like I said, it reminds me of Tarzan, because like Tarzan hung out with a bunch of apes, and now he
Right.
hangs out with, I guess, space
Yeah.
apes, or
Yeah,
space
I don't know.
people, blue people. But then
The
like
Na'vi, right.
yeah, Na'vi, yeah, and then like he's accepted by everybody. He learns to speak their language. He wears the mask to breathe outside. So yeah, and then of course I see the general wanting to get revenge, and then the Na'vi also evolve as well, I believe, because a year after that, the Sky people come,
Right.
they just don't go in there with just their bows and arrows and spears. They go
Right.
attack like silos and trains, and then
Right.
they steal weapons and all that kind of stuff, and
Right.
they learn to adapt as well. So because we're going to learn how to fight them as well too, so we
Right.
can get them before they can get us.
Right. So you have like this very kind of like, you have like Jake essentially becoming this person teaching them tactics
Yes.
of how to battle. And I thought it was kind of funny because Zoe Saldana's character, I think like being the daughter of a chief, I thought would have a more of a leadership sort of role in a thing like this. But then they kind of just make her like the emotional wife
Yes,
support
emotional, yeah,
character,
more,
which it's cool when she kind of gets into her echoing Guardians of the Galaxy battle mode.
Yeah.
Um, But I was a little just confused, like, on why they had like the kind of the typical, alpha dad sort of thing. I'm like, the guy's he's human at heart,
Yeah,
so
so-
he's faking the alien funk.
Yeah, I think that
You know?
she kind of passed it on more to him because he's like the leader now. She's become more of a mother, more humble
they
kind
made
of
her
thing,
more passive, I thought.
Yeah, so-
And she was a pretty feral character when
Yeah.
she was in the last movie. I
Yeah,
thought.
because she was just trying to prove herself that the daughter of the chief and all that kind of stuff, and now just like I said, being more humble, just kind of accepting her role more as a support character to her husband.
I thought that felt kind of fishy or kind of stereotypical in a way. Yeah.
So, but it would continue on with the story. So it's like that they find where their hideout is. It's in the Sky Mountains. So they're not been able to. These Sky people are not able to get into the Sky Mountains because of interference and all that stuff. So once they find out that that the colonel is getting knowing where they're at, he's like, well, Jake says
Right.
our family can't stay anymore.
Right.
We're in danger to.
To protect their people and their
So
village.
it's like he's always going to come after Jake now. So
They
Jake
flee.
has to make a decision to flee to go to a different part of the planet in order to save save themselves and their people. So, but I figured I thought wouldn't they go to once they find out where the Sky people are at? Wouldn't they attack them too? It's like where are they, right? So they
Right.
wouldn't put them in danger.
Right. I guess the unique thing is that it's essentially the story's a revenge plot.
Yeah.
So we get to see all these complexities of the general's revenge against Jake.
Yeah.
Because I think they kind of look at the old footage. So Spider kind of gets to see the brutality that went on with that fight with his deceased human dad.
Yeah. So.
So
Spider is the son of the colonel, right? I guess
Yeah.
he was left behind, and then he was raised by the Na'vi, so that's why he's kind of like them. And then that the colonel does find out that it is his son, but it's just pretty much he's an avatar body with just his memories. So
Right.
it's like there's some kind of emotional connection there too. But
yeah, it was really about the emotional connection part,
Yeah.
which is kind of interesting, kind of confusing at the end for me, but.
yeah,
But then I think once they flee and they get to the whole kind of the island kind of Na'vi, that was pretty interesting. That was
Yeah.
a really cool development. I
yeah.
thought.
So they flee to a different part of the planet with islands, like more water based. So it's kind of like the water people of Na'vi, and then they ask if they could stay there, and then they're trying to establish themselves somewhere else. Of course. The chief and the people are kind of reluctant at first because they're from the forest up in the forest.
Right.
Like, you guys won't fit in here.
Right.
We are water people. You are
Yeah.
forest people. But due to Jake Sully's track record, and they reluctantly
Yeah.
accept in.
And
then,
it was cool. I think you get to see the reluctance.
Yeah.
You get to kind of see them even they both understand they're both Na'vi, but then they're also looking at okay, some of these ones they bring from the forest are kind of half human, whatever.
yeah, demons, right?
They think they're weird,
Yeah.
And then it's also cool just looking at the design difference. You
Yeah.
have these bright, bluish sort of ones that are from the forest. Then you have these really kind of greenish, aquamarine-ish,
Yes,
ones that are from the sea.
You could distinctly tell the
Stronger
difference.
tails,
Yeah, exactly.
webbed arms.
Yeah.
It was kind of cool.
They're
seeing the design
they're
difference.
designed for their environment.
Right,
Well,
and
yeah.
that kind of added.
I like that
something
touch too.
I
They don't look
agree with
exactly the same. How can you tell the difference, right? So,
Yeah.
so they settle in. Of course, they're kind of try to adapt to the ways of the water. No pun intended. Ways of the water. Yeah.
Which
Ways-
they developed that.
Yeah,
well.
so-
They do it well.
The kids are kind of having a hard time fitting in, all that kind of stuff. Then you see the general, finding out where they're at. He brings the war to them. It's a lot of tragedy. Then you have a lot of these big giant whales, I guess, that were.
Was it two something? The two something.
There's a lot of names in here that's a
So
complicated.
many,
yeah,
it's like a foreign language study
Yeah,
at the
so
same time.
but the other whales are kind of like part of the sea Na'vi. So
Yeah.
and then they one of them is I guess declared an outsider, and he gets a special bond with one of the sons of Jake, and then
Right.
form a special bond, all that kind of stuff. And then the Sky people, they attack all this stuff, and then he says he ends up kidnapping was it Jake's daughters, right? Both the daughters. They have
because
both,
first he gets all the well, not all the kids. He gets the daughters and one of the sons.
yeah,
Right?
yeah. So
Yeah.
then they get caught, and then he just says, "I just want Jake because I want
Right.
revenge." He's like, you betrayed your race, you killed me, and all stuff, and that's
Right.
just, and then he has to, the colonel has the full support of the Sky people and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
They held captive. All of a sudden, Jake goes there. They plan a sneak surprise. They break
Right.
them free, and Spider is still being held by
Right.
by the Sky people.
Spider's been like captive and
Yeah.
almost indoctrinated the entire
And
time.
then Jake's sons decide that we should go back and get them,
Yeah.
get him, and they do. And they break him out, and all of a sudden, one of the sons
The
is
oldest, yeah.
the oldest one he's gravely wounded.
Yeah, he's fatally shot.
And
So,
then you get some emotional part with the Neytiri and Jake losing their son
Yeah.
after the events of the first one. The father died, and
Yeah.
so a lot of the other characters died. So they're like in full vengeance mode. So forgot to mention that is it Kiri? Kiri, I think, was the one based off Sigourney Weaver's.
right, because there's two interesting character developments with the kids. So I think maybe it's Kiri. I guess.
Yeah, I think it's Kiri.
She has these intuitive sort of like Earth, or not Earth, I guess like planet, mother planet connection powers.
Yeah, with is it Enya, right? Enya.
Yeah.
Yeah, so she.
Is it Enya?
Yeah, I think it's
that's
Enya.
an
So
Irish
yeah,
singer.
yeah. I thought it was a singer, right? Enya. So.
But it is whatever. Yeah, that connection's pretty cool. I thought.
Yeah, so
It's
she
like a superpower, right?
She has like connection to. So there was at Enya like the tree, but then it was destroyed in the first one. But now there's like a water version of it, so she has a
Right.
connection to it. She did also special powers,
Right.
and they were able to help the family break free. So one of the sons is gravely wounded,
Right.
and then like it's severe loss. So that then you see Jake and Neytiri go into beast mode. They go into like, I'm gonna kill all of you guys,
Right.
and they just go in there and they just unleash hell.
And it's curious because you have the oldest son who's kind of like the perfect one. You have the youngest one who's always just like the mistake reject guy.
Yes.
But at the same time, the semi-mistake reject son, who eventually gets redeemed at the end,
Yeah.
is the one who kind of finds all the truth on like how things are connected and
Mhm.
like the background on this whale pod sort of thing that these creatures that the sea people have their connection to. And then it all kind of comes around in a way.
Yeah.
But like it's that loss of the oldest son
Yeah.
that just makes these parents go crazy for protecting their family.
Yeah, there always seems to be
Taking out
one
the bad guy.
child that's been like accepted by the family, like the role model and all that kind of stuff. And there's one that's always kind of like the outcast, the black sheep of the family, not fitting in, and all of a sudden they fit in, and
Right.
Unfortunately the eldest son he dies, and then then you see the battle between the colonel and Jake. Is like they managed to escape, but then like the colonel threatens him, like, wherever you go I will find you, I will kill you, doesn't matter. It's like, okay, let's just end this. So they fight, and they go down underwater. He puts him in a chokehold, and then he passes out
He
underwater.
thinks he's drowning.
Yeah.
Or he's like slowly drowning.
So they get rescued by Kiri with her special new powers.
Yeah.
With
She summons sea creatures
yeah,
to light
exactly.
their way.
yeah. Way of the water, right? So, and then then he sinks down, and then you see Spider like swimming around trying to help find his adopted family, right? But then he sees his
His reject dad.
yeah, right, and his avatar there, and he's
Yeah.
like, he's conflicted. He's like, damn it! And so he's
Yeah.
so he saves him. So he pulls him
Right.
out of the water. So that
An
was a
act of
surprise.
compassion.
Yeah, so he pulls
Yeah.
him out of the water, and then then the colonel's like, come with me. He's like,
Yeah.
and he's like, they just do the
He
hissing
says
thing.
that. But I
Yeah.
guess the irony is in the movie it starts with the colonel knowing that's not his real son, but showing an act of compassion to get him out of the torture sort of thing. That
Yeah.
the general for that, that installation was trying to do to him, like
Yeah.
where he has like a freaking nosebleed, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So I think that was probably kind of like just like to return the favor and say I don't owe you anything.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, so an eye for an eye or something, that you save me, I save you now, so we're even, we're square. I'm not gonna go with you. I'm going back to where I belong and all that kind of stuff. So
Right.
it leaves the door open for him to come back in the third movie.
Yeah,
So,
which I didn't get that part.
Yeah.
I was thinking like the themes of Avatar are so, I don't want to say like hippie kumbaya in
Yeah.
a way, or it's just it's kind of like like those kids who are like in Greenpeace you're at school with, who are talking
Yeah.
about like all these peaceful, happy things, and then they go and drive in the Mercedes and have their Starbucks.
Yeah.
Like, you know,
Yeah.
it kind of somewhat some of those vibes in a way. There's a lot of things that are metaphors for what, you know, real people from diverse backgrounds are actually dealing with, but
Yeah.
then it kind of fluffs it up and makes this like everyone's gonna be friends at the end sort of.
Yeah, like, well,
Ambiguous feeling.
we're gonna spare you, but
Honestly, like that general should just drown in the water.
yeah, I mean, like, I
Right.
wouldn't mind if he
Yeah.
just like, okay, in the third one there's a new villain or something, but
Right.
this one is like he's looked like he's gonna live, so it's
Right.
gonna continue like, and then I think there's gonna be conflict between Jake and him. It's like, you let him live, and now he's gonna come after
Right.
my family again in the
Right.
third movie. So
And then I think what at some point, Zoe Saldana's character takes him at the end as a hostage, saying,
Yeah.
"You know what? I won't kill the human if you release my child."
Yeah.
And then that kind of shows this internal switch in, like, you know, the newly alien body, you know, Colonel, and that he actually cared.
yeah,
Which, you know, at first he was bluffing that he didn't.
yeah, but it showed that since she lost her son, that she doesn't even care now. Like, it's like,
Right.
I will sacrifice him because
Right.
my son died. You know that
Right.
I don't care for
The
her.
one that she gave birth to,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. So I mean, she
So-
didn't like him in the beginning anyway. She thought he was an outsider too. You know, like he, you know, didn't fit in anyway. So she wasn't reluctant at all to just to, you know, she cut it. She like sliced him a little bit,
Right.
but not
You
that she
made him
did.
bleed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So, but then after that, you know,
That's
then
the
you,
reality check. I guess.
yeah, and then you see them come back to the islands. It says, you know, we've caused enough damage here. We'll be moving on. It's like, nope, you're part of us now.
Right.
Then you stay. So they decide to stay. And pretty emotional part at the end where they take the brother out that passed away, take him out to sea, and they, you know,
They bury him at
ma-
the tree of
yeah,
the tree of
the life,
thing,
yeah, to
so-
Enya. So,
Yeah.
and
The
then
Irish singer.
and then yes, and then this part actually got me because I'm a father. But when they connected to the sea Enya, then you see Jake Sully seeing his son in the beginning part where they go fishing, and he sees
Right.
says like, "Why are you so happy?" He's like, "I'm just always happy to see you." And I got really choked up right there.
Oh.
Like, I'm like, and then you see Natiri come out like, that's, you know, like, damn, you know, just having
Yeah.
a kid, and then you see them, it's like, and then you get to see them in like in the afterlife
Right.
kind of thing. So
Right.
yeah, that really
A lot of tear-jerking moments.
yeah. So
throughout
but
this
yeah,
entire
pretty
movie.
emotional. And then
Yeah.
it like, you know, we did stay after just a little bit, but I remember there was no end credit scene probably because they were just worried about getting the movie out on time. I think there's something like one of the ushers said that Avatar will return. Of course, it will return.
Right.
So I think it's slated for multiple sequels after this. So I'm hoping the Colonel's not in all of them though.
No, right? They
It's
gotta
like-
move on.
Yeah. So
But yeah, it was pretty solid. I think some of the issues that remain from the first one are some of the themes, because it has this very kind of colonial themes, this sort of
Mm-hmm.
dances with wolves, sort of, you know, you have a typical
meets Fern Gully in a way.
yeah, meets Ferngully.
Yep.
You kind of bring in like this you know, save the world sort of thing, and you have, you know, the colonizer savior sort of complex.
Yeah, it's kind of
Where-
conflicted. Like, do
It's-
you root for the colonizers to save Earth,
Right.
or you root for the people of Pandora, right? But in a
Right.
way, you're kind of rooting for Pandora more because it's like they didn't do anything wrong. They
Yeah.
just
But then it kind of, I think at the same time, it also leans into, like, you know, when you would have, you know, actors play ethnic roles when they weren't from that ethnicity.
Yeah.
It kind of leans into that a little bit. And it's just, I think, you know, Zoe Saldana's character, who was really powerful in the first one, just kind of becomes this sort of one-dimensional supporting character. I think there's some of the mystery of the planet and the culture kind of gets lost into this fitting everything into like a typical American storyline.
Yeah.
When you look at, like, you know, there's so much dynamics, especially like with the adopted daughter connecting to the Earth spirit, to their planet spirit sort of thing. I think there probably should have been like a lot more complex, you know, ritual sort of like magical things going on there that
Right.
just weren't really talked about. You know.
it probably could have, but then it would extend the movie like another 5 minutes or so.
Oh yeah, well, it just depends on how they wanted to
Yeah,
write it.
so-
But it kind of, it felt like watching a James Ford, you know, Indians and cowboy movie. In
So
some ways, to me.
I like what you mentioned about
really good
Zoe
one.
Saldana. I think she took a more supportive role, kind of like because Jake is the head of the tribe now, or you know, of the family, the solely stick together
Yeah.
kind of mentality, right? So she's kind of more nurturing, more as a mother role because she has kids now, you know. So
Yeah,
then she
I definitely get that. I definitely get that.
you know, because she had to be fierce to be a warrior in order to be noticed, right? To you know, prove herself kind of more. And then in the first movie, in this movie, she's like, well, I'm already proven, you know, like now I can settle down. I don't have to be, you know, such a badass more. She's still a badass, but you know, like kind of like so, you know, so vicious and feral more. Like, you know, she's toned down, accepted more of a role in motherhood and all that kind of stuff. Being supportive of her husband and his decisions and stuff like that, you know, to help him out, you know, because he's making more of the tougher decisions now.
Well, I definitely get it. I think when you look at some of her other roles, she doesn't really play maternal roles very often.
Yeah,
when
so
you look
it's
at her
not
action
it's
movies.
nice. So it's like you know, you do see her emotion in the movie as well. So it's not lost in anything on that. So
But I definitely feel like one of the remarks in the very first one was that it was so Dances with Wolves like that it almost like the ethnic or the cultural part becomes a prop to supporting a typical, like, you know, American story.
So
Or say, like, you look at like the Wakanda sequel, like those are some badass, powerful women, and it kind of turned the entire storyline on its head. Or, you know, making like a Native American sort of, you know, colonial kind of, you know, response. With like Namor and also just like the very first Black Panther movie did a lot. Like this one, it does that, but it's kind of synthesized, saying, well, I became a native, and now this is what my response is towards this colonial sort of thing. Like, you know, it's like the story was being told by Spider.
Nice. Could have been. I mean, there was sub narration in it, but So, what is your overall score on the movie? So
I think it's a pretty damn good movie. I think as a movie within the industry of movies, it's definitely I think, how did I rate the last movie? I want to make sure I'm fair here.
So.
I'd rate it pretty high. So I'm definitely between an A and a B.
Okay, so what's your number score for you? What would you give it?
Number score, I would definitely give it a 9. It would definitely be 9 level. I think probably with some of the story things and themes as being a little problematic.
Yeah.
Especially because, like, you know, with James Cameron and sometimes these Hollywood personalities and their professionalism with other professionals in the industry, I'd say I'd definitely give it a 9.
Yeah.
Like, I think maybe the first one was a 10 because it was definitely ahead of its time.
Yeah.
This one maintains a lot of the quality, but it loses some points for coming out too late, and I think it also it's pretty typical in some ways with storytelling, like compared to like some of the classic movies, which is good, but at the same time with this day and age, I don't know. It was like a good solid return to basics.
Yeah, I give it an 8.5. I do like this one more. Because the storytelling and all that kind of stuff. It's a nice touch to have the same villain come back, but it kind of didn't close the book on him because didn't die, so he flew away. So it's like it leaves it open for him to come back again. I mean, it's like
why do you let the bad guy?
It's it's kind of like in Pokemon Team Rocket, they're getting away again, and like so you're gonna continue to fight him, and it's like I like them to explore maybe of course other tribes, other issues that they go with, other villains. It is visually beautiful, of course, and all that kind of stuff. It does progress a lot more than the first movie, but it's I would give it an 8.5. So I do like it more than the first one, of course, because it's more different. Visuals are a lot better, I believe. The water sequence is amazing, so realistic.
Maybe I rescind mine. I'll say an 8.5 too.
Okay. Yeah, there you go. See what you point out your differences.
Yeah, because there are quite a few cliches in it.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not gonna just like a movie based on just visuals alone. I mean, I did watch the first one 3 times. I did regular IMAX and then 3D IMAX. But it's visually beautiful, right? But like story was just kind of same as something else. This one is a little bit more. I might have given. I don't know. We didn't review the first one, but I probably would have given it like an 8 or something. But 8.5 a little bit more. It's not good, but like you said, just the time period of it alone, just so long and all that stuff. But it's a really solid movie. I say go see it.
I'm still like a preschool teacher. I'm an easy grader.
Yeah, exactly.
But 8.5 makes a lot.
It would take a lot for me to give a movie a bad review, and then I think I'll save that for some of other stuff I've been watching.
There's some bad ones out there.
But that's gonna be our review of Avatar: The Way of Water. Definitely go check it out. It's really great. Go see it in 3D IMAX. That's the way you have to see it. If you see it regularly, it's not the way it is, because it's the way of water, right? So,
Yeah, right.
but yeah, check it out. It's great. Don't let
Yeah, it's a
time deter
beautiful
you.
film.
Don't think that, oh, it's the same thing as that. Nope, it's not. It's completely something different.
Yeah.
You really enjoy it. 3 hours, like you said, will just fly
Yeah,
by.
it flies by. It's such
So.
it's just a really, it's a good experience. It's
Yeah.
a good experience.
Yeah,
a really
so.
good experience.
Go check it out. I don't think I'll check it out multiple times after this. I don't have the time
Yeah.
anymore. But yeah, for sure, guys, check it out, guys.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching. If you guys watched the movie already, let us know what you think of it. Check it out first, and then let us know your thoughts about it.
Yeah. Leave them those in the comments.
Yeah, exactly. If you agree with our review, if you don't agree with our review, so that's totally fine. So, but like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Thanks for nerding out to our nonsense.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, and we'll catch you guys in the next video. See you.
All right. Take it easy.
Bye.